Welcome back. We are here for week number 15 of Overwatch League season number 3. So, we got a nice full slate of games coming up this weekend. I'm excited for them. Pretty much all tomorrow. Throughout tomorrow, I'm gonna be watching the games. Of course, watch the Asian region games when I wake up, and then watch all the other ones after that. So, we are closing in on the Melee tournament. We got some money on the line, so seedings are going to be determined for it this week. So something to watch for. After the week is over, I'll make a little video, detailing what's all going on with that tournament. If you guys don't know, so something to look forward to there. Otherwise, we are going to just get into the predictions for this week. Like I said, got a lot of good ones this week that I am very excited about. Starting off, we got Seoul Dynasty versus Chengdu Hunters. So, what does Seoul go to here? They can't play the Orisa as she is banned. Mei is gone as well, so that's two of their better heroes. I think this could be a little bit of a dangerous week for them. I think they could have some problems with Chundo, to be perfectly honest. Chundu's on a big losing streak. I feel like they're due for a win pretty soon here. And like I said, Seoul has looked really, really, really good with the double shields. When they cannot run that consistently, double shields with the Mei, etc., they've looked significantly worse. So I think we have a real match here. I think just looking at this matchup, like, oh, Seoul wins easily. But with the hero bans, I think this could get very, very close. I'm not gonna go with the Hunters. I just think Seoul is still a bit better. I think Chengdu's gonna upset a team like Hangzhou or Guangzhou rather than a Seoul. But like I said, I think it's very competitive. I just from Seoul last week, man, Fitz put on just an absolute clinic on the Hangzhou. He was playing so well. Prophet's been really, really solid as well. I love that tank line. So I still like Seoul here, but I think Chengdu makes it close. I'm going to say 3-1 with maybe like a tie in there. A couple of really close ones. But in the end, I think Seoul still takes it. Then we got London Spitfire taking on Shanghai Dragons. So London's 1-1 since returning. Shanghai did lose a game recently, but they bounced back pretty quickly. I like Shanghai here. This team is they're so solid. I really do think that they're the Asian region version of the Shock, where you just look up and down the roster and it's just so strong. I can't pinpoint any weak spots for them. When you look at the tank line, you got Void, who has been, I think, probably their most solid player throughout the season. You talk about Lip, who's been super impressive as a rookie. Of course, you got to talk about, not Fleta, almost said Fleta. You got to talk about their tank line. They've been using you've seen Fearless a couple times, and he's come in and played really, really well. And then, of course, Stand 1 has been super good coming out of contenders this year. So Shanghai's looking great. You talk about having Izayaki in the back line. You got to be happy about that. Luffy's come in a couple of times. But it's a loaded roster. I love their talent. London's been a surprise team. Sanguinar has been really, really good on Lucio. I've enjoyed watching him a lot, particularly against Sombras. He's had really, really good sound barriers. He's been able to avoid that EMP and then keep his team alive. Bernard, super solid on the off tank. So there's a lot to like about this team. Glister is a budding superstar in my eyes. So I like London a lot, but I don't think they're ready to beat a team like Shanghai. I'm going to go with the Dragons in a 3-0. Then we got New York taking on Hangzhou. I really like the things I've seen from New York this season. Their losses have been pretty close. They had a bit of a rough go against the Charge recently, but I do expect them to bounce back here and take down the Spark. I like them more just top to bottom. You want to talk about rosters. I think particularly with these heroes being out of rotation this week, I think New York is in really good shape. There is no Tracer, but I don't think that's going to have a huge impact on New York. I'm more curious to see what New York runs for their DPS. We've seen a decent amount of Who Are You lately. Um, I personally I like Libero and Sabiolbi the best as their combo, but with Tracer out, who's Sabiolbi's best hero, maybe we see some Nene or maybe a lot more Who Are You. But I still think that New York is easily a top 4 team, and Hangzhou just can't quite compete with them at this point. I'll say they take a map though, and New York takes it 3-1. So we got new look Vancouver Titans sitting at 0-2, taking on the Houston Outlaws, who are in a bit of a rut. I believe they've lost 3 straight games. Houston, they're at a point. They're 4-9. That's a lot of losses, but they're not out of it if they can string a couple of wins together. Vancouver is a very beatable team for them. Vancouver is at 2-4. Their season is kind of just started, so they have time to grow as well. I like Houston in this matchup. They have their maps where they just kind of fall to pieces, and it feels like they don't have confidence. I feel like they might be a team that just kind of gets quiet when they start losing, and they lose some of that shot calling, some of that aggression that they really need. Because when this Houston team plays aggressive and they play stuff that they're comfortable with, they can be really good. They've looked really solid at points, but there's no consistency. It depends on the meta. When we've seen Winston a lot, they've been a lot better. So again, Houston, a work in progress. I'm not a fan of Houston, but I always kind of find myself cheering for them. Maybe it's just because they've been a bit of an underdog the last couple of seasons, but I do think they beat Vancouver here. Vancouver looked kind of lost against Florida last week. They did play Washington close, but I mean, it's a Washington team that's 19th in the league, so. Well, I do see potential in Vancouver. There were things I liked, being on the ping, having some new players in there. I think it's just a bit too much for them right now. Houston is a beatable team. I think they'll take a map off of them, and they'll have some very close engages because there's going to be some slopping in this match for sure. There's going to be some misplays. There's going to be some ults that are just chucked away. But because Houston's been playing together longer, they've had higher highs this season for sure, and the Titans are still trying to figure stuff out. I'm going to go with the Outlaws in a 3-1 victory. Then we got Florida Mayhem, who are suddenly at 6-4, are surging. They're at 5th place in the league. A lot of people are starting to be really high on them. They're taking on the Washington Justice, who I haven't heard, but as of right now, they only have one DPS player. They only have Tuba. Because Stratus retired. He said it was his last game last week, and Corey retired as well, going to Valorant. So I don't know what they're gonna run. So I guess we'll find out tomorrow. Either way, I like Florida in this one. They're getting confidence. Although they've mostly beaten really bad teams, some of the lower tier teams in the league, I still think that they're a solid team. I'm not as high on them as a lot of other people are because I need them to beat a Gladiators. I need them to beat a Philly, an Atlanta, or a San Francisco. Then they'll really be on my radar. They did get a nice win against Paris. But since the other wins are against New Look Vancouver and then 2 victories against Boston, I need to see them beat one more good team. So I think they'll pretty much wipe the floor with Washington. I see this as a 3-0. Yaki's been really good on Tracer in particular. His tracers look super clean. I haven't been super impressed with him on other stuff, to be perfectly honest. I didn't think his Mei was that good. His Echo had its moments, but there were also a lot of deaths. But I like the tank line quite a lot. Fade and Gargoyle is really underrated as a tank line. I think they've played extremely well this season. So Washington, they did get a win against Vancouver last week, but Florida mopped the floor with the Titans, and I think they're going to do the exact same with the Justice. I see this as a 3-0. Next, we got LA Gladiators taking on Boston Uprising. I think this is an easy one for Gladiators. Super disappointing match against Paris. I thought that they threw several maps away. They were in position to win them and or draw with Volskaya, and they just kind of threw it to the wayside. They looked super dominant map 1. So I don't see Boston taking a map off them. Brucein is gone. He has retired. He's going to Valiant as well, apparently. I mean, does it really matter? With or without him, I mean, it's a 3-0 for the Gladiators. There's a couple of bright spots with Boston. Like I said, I still think Fusions can be a good player on a good team. He just can't really be the best player. Jerry has shown incredible potential this season. I think Color Hex is another solid player. And, Nguyen Bong, I like him a lot too. But other than that, like, I just don't think they have enough of, like, the carry potential that other teams have. And they have just those couple of weak spots as well when you're talking about main support with Halo. So, again, not much to say about this matchup. The Gladiators, while they've been disappointing, I would say overall they are still a B-ish level team. So they'll get the job done easily here. Then we have the most interesting one of this day by far. We got San Fran versus Atlanta Reign. So, two of the better teams in the league matching up here. I'm going with San Francisco over Atlanta. I'm going to say 3-1. A lot to unpack here. We had in the playoffs last year, Atlanta, with the famous Shock C9 on Rialto, gave Atlanta the win. It sent Shock into the loser bracket. Of course, after that, Shock didn't drop a single map. They ran the losers bracket, and got to the grand finals and wrapped that one up in 4-0 as well. So I think Shock is a bit of a better team here. I think that in pretty much every single category, they're slightly above Atlanta. I think this match could turn into something very similar to the last Atlanta-Philly game we saw, where Philly was just a little bit better at every turn than Atlanta. So, like I said, I think Atlanta will take a map here. I think they'll keep at least a couple of the other ones really close. But in the end, it's just Shock. I don't have to worry about, are they going to take a hit in this meta? I don't feel like I have to worry about that because they have so much versatility on the team. They have so many just carry players. Any one of them can carry on any given day. Moth is my MVP of this season so far because he's really just held this team together. For all their talent, I do think that they're a team that could start to kind of slip. But he doesn't allow that. He's so good. There's the triple boop that we saw against Toronto, but even more so than the flashy plays, he just makes the plays that they need to win. He picks up heroes that they need him to pick up. He picked up the Zen. He's played the Batiste really well. And then of course, he's, in my opinion, he's second best Lucio in the league. I got Funny Astro as number 1, but he's a clear number 2. And like I said, I just think that he is so valuable. And you don't, like I said, it doesn't pop out a lot of the time unless he's getting like a big boop, but he's just always where he needs to be for this team. So I got San Francisco here in a very entertaining match, taking it 3-1. So moving on to Sunday. I haven't picked a lot of upsets yet, but we might have a couple coming. Who knows? So Guangzhou Charge versus Chengdu Hunters. You know what? I'm going to go with Chengdu here. In my power rankings, the last ones, I put Charge at number 5. I thought they looked really, really good these last couple of weeks. But Guangzhou and Chengdu are just like really weird teams where stuff just happens. So I think this could very easily be a 3-0 Charge. But like I said, for some reason, I feel like maybe Ameng is going to be super unleashed on the Wrecking Ball this week. Maybe they get absolutely crazy performances from like Jinmu and some others. But I'm going to go with Chengdu here. Like I said, playing some weird comps, clutching it out. I'll say it goes all the way to 5 maps, but on those just brawly, sloppy control maps, I think Chengdu's got the upper hand, and they take it 3-2, even though Guangzhou is a better team in pretty much every respect. Then Hangzhou versus London. I think this one also, it's super, super interesting. We're going to really start to sort out the hierarchy in the Asian region. You got at the top, you got Shanghai. Then I would say after that, you have the Charge and the Dynasty. I think they're like in a category right under them. And then after that, you got Hangzhou, you got London, and you got Chengdu. I think Chundo is definitely below the other two, but Hangzhou and London, I feel, are two teams that are very close together. I'm going to go with the Spark here. I really like the Spark against other middle tier teams. I don't think they have a lot of capability of beating some of the big dogs. They just kind of get beat down. But in this one, I feel like it's going to be very close. And the Spark are very good at winning close matches. So I think it goes down to the wire. Screw it. I'll predict another map 5. And in a wildly entertaining match, Spark win it. I think we're going to get a really good week out of Godsby. He has had some of his best performances on Tracer, who he can't use this week, but he's a versatile guy, and I think he's going to come out and have a really good week, because every couple of weeks, he's got a great match, and it's like, man, Godsby, he's so good. And then it kind of tapers off for a couple of weeks, but I think he's got a good one coming up, and they are able to edge Spitfire in a close one. Did someone say upset? I got Dallas Fuel taking down the Paris Journal here. Maybe I'm just high on Dallas. Maybe I'm just hating on Paris a little. I've had a little bit of a block with Paris. I feel like last week, the Gladiators just gave them opportunities time after time. So, did they capitalize on those opportunities? Yes. Am I being a little bit unfair? Maybe. Yeah, I could see that. But I think Paris is a very solid team. I think Dallas has a higher ceiling. I think they have a great performance this week. They're gonna be mad about that loss last week where they played really, really, really well against Philly. I was so impressed with them. They took them to the wire on basically every single map. Took a map off of them. So we get another entertaining match. I do think these teams are pretty similar in terms of skill. I think Paris is a bit more consistent, but Dallas has that little bit of a higher ceiling. No Tracer is a bit concerning, but maybe you can see a lot of McCree where Decay can go absolutely nuts as well. Or maybe we see a huge clutch week from Doha. Maybe they get some Fist in there. Who knows? Because Doha's absolutely carried on that Doomfist, which we've seen it. So I don't know. A super entertaining one here. I'm going to give the edge to Fuel here. I just feel like they have a bit more of a motivation for this match and a bit more maybe backwards momentum because they're coming off a close loss. Paris is coming off a close victory. So, like I said, close one, could definitely go either way, but my gut is telling me to go with Fuel. Philly Fusion coming up against Vancouver Titans. Philly 3-0. Is this the week we see Chipsa? That's what I'm curious about. That's probably what a bunch of other people are curious about for this match. Just put him in. Come on. Let him actually play. We'll see how he does. I would love to see him play against an actual good team, because I would love to see him get just like domed by a Widow a bunch of times and just tilt. But that's just the evil in me. But I mean, it'll be wildly entertaining either way. But this match, will it be entertaining and close? Probably not. That's why we want Chips in. Because it'll give us something else to talk about. Because otherwise, I think Philly's going to kind of just beat the brakes off of them and take it 3-0. And then another one that I think is super actually entertaining. I think this is similar to a Fuel Paris, London, Hangzhou, where these two teams are of pretty similar skill. A lot of people are higher on the Valiant than the Defiant. I could see why that's the case. This is another example of two teams who need a win. Toronto, I really thought that they had San Francisco on the ropes a lot of times last week, and they just couldn't quite capitalize on it. So they're sitting at 4-8. They need victories. Valiant, they're sitting at 4-6. If they want to get into that top 12, pretty quick here, they got to start rattling off a couple more victories as well. So my heart wants to say Toronto, because I love Surefour, I love other members of that team, Kareev, Agilities. I think the Valiant have just been playing better, cleaner Overwatch right now, so I have to go with them. I think that they get it done 3-1. We're gonna see what the rotation is for their DPS. That's what I've been kind of following with the Valiant recently. I think Dreamer and McGravy, they've done what they're supposed to. But their DPS has really been putting in some work. Shax has had incredible performances on Tracer. Can't play it this week, but they still have, they've got KSP. If they want to run Ashe or McCree or Widow, he's the aiming god. KSF is a wild card that can come in and play super well. Also, we did see, if maybe we see some Echo play, and they had they had some pretty solid Echo play as well, on the side of the Valiant. So we'll see. They had Apply played for the first time this season, and I thought that his Echo looked pretty solid. So who knows what we'll see run. I think Toronto could be definitely dangerous because they don't have to play the Mei, and the Mei has definitely been a very weak point for them with agilities. So I think they'll be a little bit unleashed, but like I said, they throw away too many fights, too many weird ultimates, too many just weird decisions. So I'm going to go with the Valiant in a close one, 3-1. Alrighty, there you have it. Predictions for week number 15. Like I said, there's a ton of good matches this week. I feel like it's been forever since I've watched Overwatch League. I don't know why. Like, this week has gone super long, but hopefully you guys get to watch them as well. Everything in the world, stuff's starting to open up places. Other places people don't think it's a good idea. I don't know. It's a crazy world we live in right now. That's why for now I'm just focusing on watching some Overwatch League for this weekend. Hopefully you guys are as well. Whatever you end up doing, I hope you have an awesome weekend. As always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.